Studios for a day and did the Harry Potter stuff, and that was exciting too. We drank, for those of you that are muggles in the know, we drank butterbeer with a giant dragon breathing fire literally on us, and it rained almost every day, as it's supposed to when you're in Florida. But we didn't care about no rain. We just kept playing and riding, and we saw the Yeti in the Himalayas, and that was one of the most scary things in our whole lives. It's a scary roller coaster. Some of you know what I'm talking about. We were cured of roller coasters after that. I promise you, we did not have to go on another one. But we did. We went on this Harry Potter thing where we were riding on a broom and following, and the dragon got out, and it was crazy. And the things that they can do at Disney World and at Universal Studios. I should tell you that my boys were stars in some of the attractions. At one point, at the Universal Studios, there's a movie that they have some of the audience participate in. You get to be like a scared person or a strong person or something, and Max was the scared person, and he had to go, ah, and then they spliced it into the movie, and he was very good. And then there was another one. Have you seen the Monsters, Inc. stuff? Mm-hmm. There was a Monsters University laugh, like a comedy room, so that they were gathering up all of the jokes, because you know after the first movie, that's how they power their world, is through jokes and not through screams anymore. So they had to make us laugh enough so that the container got filled. And it's a very cool thing, because you've got like this giant screen with the monsters that look almost real, the way they depict them on the screen, and they're really interacting with you. I don't know where the people were watching us who were the actors behind the voices, but they were interacting with you. And so at one point they said they had a camera pinpointed on certain people. They had one where they would zoom in on somebody and say, and look, and this guy really wants to dance. And you expect him to get up and dance, but he would not get up and dance. He kept pulling other people near him to try to dance. And they said, oh, he's going to get everybody but himself to dance, isn't he? And he just wouldn't. And he tried to get his wife, and he tried to get his daughter. And it was funny, and they kept coming back to him, and he still wouldn't do it. But then they pointed on this one guy who had like a squiggly afro out to about here. And they said, and look, this guy woke up this morning thinking he wanted to be a chia pet. And we cracked up, and then whoop, it went to Ron and said, and look, so did he. So he was on stage too, and everybody walked around saying, oh, you were the chia pet, weren't you? But actually, my kids were more famous than that. As they were walking around, you may or may not know that they are famous for their T-shirts. And so Ron, last year, sometime during 2013, the boys and I drove to Texarkana, the Texas side, to the Perot Theater, which is a lot similar to the Strand, I guess. But and we watched Weird Al Yankovic do a show. Most people didn't know he was still touring, Weird Al. So Weird Al did a great show, and Ron got this T-shirt, a Weird Al T-shirt, and he happened to be wearing that the day that we went to Harry Potter. And who would have thought that every one of the kids who worked at the Harry Potter area would get out of character for a second and say, cool shirt. Ah, yes, my good sir. The way to the Hogmeade is over here. And it was every kid that worked there loved his shirt. So he was famous as the Weird Al guy that day, too. So anyway, we had a wonderful time. And I am very, very glad to be back. Very glad to be back. Because I need a Shabbat after all of that. But it also gave us ideas of things to try to do to make our world the kind of magical place that their worlds were. I don't have that kind of money or anything, but there's something special about how you immerse yourself in something and how you buy into something. We talked about this. Why is it that everybody wanted to have silly Mickey Mouse ears? You're already at Disney World. Why do you also have to wear the ears and the shirt and the keychain? And why do you need all those things if you're already there? And I realized that in some ways it's kind of like when we send our kids to summer camp, and we have one little summer camper right now there. We have 2 staffers there right now, but 1 camper there right now. And when we send our kids to camp, I got into this thing that if you're on staff for 5 years in a row, they give you a special 5-year jacket. And there are times when you're at camp, I'm going to be really honest, that you feel alone. I mean, it's one of the best places you can possibly go, but there are times you don't feel so great, and there are times that you miss your home and things like that. But there's something about feeling you're part of something bigger than you, and that they love you because of who you are, that feels great. And that's how you feel when you're in these places. You felt like the magic was that they loved you for who you are. Every little girl, it was the cutest thing. I was standing online to get a drink one day, and there were these two girls who were about this big, and all I could see was their back. And the guy who was selling the drink said, "And what can I get for you, princess?" And she looked at him and she said, "How did you know I was a princess?" And like hundreds of girls that are this big and under are dressed like princesses. There's even a Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo boutique that turns you into sparkly princesses for the day. And she said, "How did you know I was a princess?" And he said, and her sister, who's all of this big, says, "Well, you're wearing a crown," and all these. She's wearing a crown. And she said, "But my sister's not a princess. She's a mermaid." And he said, "Oh, yeah, I could tell." And I was very glad that I wasn't a princess and that I wasn't traveling with princesses, but every once in a while they would accidentally call me a princess too. And you felt really good when they call you a princess. I can't help it. But there's something really special about feeling that kind of special. And the boys and I came up with some ideas, and we will share some of them with you, because I think being at B'nai Zion is pretty magical too. So some of you, I guess, deserve, where's Lionel? I guess you deserve something like your 90th year jacket or something here. and it feels good to be part of something for a very long time and to feel like you belong. And I'm going to try to tie some of those things together. For the moment, I do need a Shabbat after all of that magic. And so I need you to help me out here and take a deep breath. Let it go. And try again. Let it go. And hopefully you're a little bit relaxed. And you know me well enough to know that I don't like to talk about disagreeable things during services, but some of what I think we have to talk about today may be uncomfortable. So I'm sorry that I usually tell you to leave all of the uncomfortable out of the room. We may have to talk about some uncomfortable things later. But for now, we suspend all of that, and we welcome Shabbat. As is our custom over the summer, I am going to be the person who stands here, but I invite all of you to help me to bless the candles and bless the wine to start our Shabbat. And we decided that we would use service 2 today, because today we are showing solidarity with Jews all over the world. And I think that in this one we show solidarity in this service. I think you'll see what I mean. Things going on in the world today for Jews are very scary. And so I would love to suspend all of that, but I can't suspend it all. So we will take this moment of time, this Shabbat, of focused prayer and focused insight, and use that to try to see what we can do in prayer to help what's going on in the world. But we turn to page 65, and as if we were at home, we would stand up and come to the candles, so please rise. And please join with me as we read on page 65. As these candles give light to all who behold them, so may we give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we in our own day be among those who kindle light. And I'm going to do this in Hebrew. I'm going to sing it. If you don't like singing, don't sing. If you like English, say it in English. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kedishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Light. Let there be joy.
Let there be light.
Let there be peace.
Let there be Shabbat.
We continue on page 165, and if you need the translation, it's on 166. I'm going to chant it in Hebrew, and you're welcome to say it out loud with me in the English. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Bore peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu, zikaron lema'aseh v'reshit, ki hu yom techila lemikra kodesh, Zecher leitziat Mitzrayim, Kivanu vacharta, Ve'otanu kidashta, Mikol ha'amim, V'shabbat kodshecha, Be'ahava uvratzon, Hinchaltanu, Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. L'chaim. Delicious. You may be seated, but please say Shabbat Shalom to somebody near you. Someone you came in with, someone you didn't come in with. Cover at least one of those. I see people here we haven't seen in a very long time, and I see people here we have never seen before. And it's all a wonderful experience. And I see people I see all the time. And how awesome is that? Make sure you try to find those other people. It's part of what makes us as wonderful as we are, is the people who greet and smile and say hello to people you haven't seen before. We continue in the middle of page 67. In the middle of page 67. O source of light and truth, creator of the eternal law of goodness, and of the impulse within us for justice and mercy, we pray that this hour of worship may be one of vision and inspiration. Help us to find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and our lives.
Bless all who enter this sanctuary in search and in need, all who bring to this place the offering of their hearts. May our worship here lead us to fulfill our words and intentions with acts of kindness, peace, and love. Amen.
We have come together to strengthen our bonds with our people Israel. Like Jews of generations past, we celebrate the grandeur of creation. Like Jews of every age, we echo our people's ancient call for justice.
Our celebration is a sharing of memory and hope.
We are Jews, but each of us is unique. We stand apart and alone, with differing feelings and insights, and yet we are not entirely alone and separate, for we are children of one people and one heritage.
Our celebration unites many separate selves into a single cause.
And we are one in search of life's meaning. All of us know despair and exaltation. All bear burdens. All have moments of weakness and times of strength. All sing songs of sorrow and love.
May our celebration bring us strength along our way.
In this circle of hope, in the presence of the sacred, may the heart come to know itself and its best, finding a fresh impulse to love the good.
May our celebration lead us to work for the good, and may this Shabbat give strength to us and to our people Israel.
We talk about how wonderful it is for us to be here together. I'm just going to put this back up again. Now you can hear it. Hine ma tovu manaim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tovu manaim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine manaim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine manaim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tovu manaim, shevet achim הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. Many are the generations of Israel, and in every age we have sought the living God through Sabbath rest and worship. This time and place hold the power to increase our joy in the eternal. O God, even as we seek you in the sanctuary, help us to know that your glory fills all space. Make us understand that you are with us at all times if we but open our minds to you. We feel the presence of your Spirit in our homes and on our ways. We see the beauty of your creation in mountain, sea, and sky, and in the human form. We hear you in the silence of our own hearts, speaking the truth the heart knows. May we be your witness to the world, your messenger to all the earth.
May we show forth your image within us, the divine spark that makes us human.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה,
אמן.
בעלמא דברה חירותה וימליך מלכותה, בחייכון וביומייכון ובחיי בכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב ומרו, אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך, לעלם ולעלמי עלמיה, יתברך, יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמך דקודשה בריחו, לעלמין כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דמירן בעלמה ואמרו אמן. ברכו את אדוני המבורך, ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד. As day departs, as the dark of night descends, we lift our eyes to the heavens. In awe and wonder, our hearts cry out.
Eternal God, how majestic is your name in all the earth.
A vast universe, who can know it? What mind can fathom it? We look out to the endless suns and ask, what are we? What are our dreams and our hopes? What are we that you are mindful of us? What are we that you should care for us?
And yet within us abides a measure of your Spirit. You are remote, but oh how near, ordering the stars in the vast solitudes of the dark, yet whispering in our minds that you are closer than the air we breathe. For you have made us little less than divine, and crowned us with glory and honor. With love and awe we turn to you, and in the dark of evening we seek the light of your presence.
One and only God, you have made each of us unique and formed us to be united in one family of life. Be with us, Eternal One, as we seek to unite our lives with your power and your love.
We proclaim now your oneness and our own hope for unity. We acclaim your creative power in the universe and in ourselves, the law that binds world to world and heart to heart.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. You may be seated unless you're the Nash girls, and then you have to come up, please. At least the ones who are under 13, I should say. The princesses.
Thank you for complimenting us.
You are very welcome. Let me see. I know it's here somewhere. It's over here on this one. Let me get this out of your way. Go ahead.
ואהבת
את
אדוני אלוהיך
בכל לבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. אדוני אלוהיכם emet. December, early December is their Benot mitzvah. You practicing? Keep practicing. We read together in the English. You shall love your eternal God with all your heart, with all your mind, with all your being.
Set these words which I command you this day upon your heart. Teach them faithfully to your children. Speak of them in your home and on your way, when you lie down and when you rise up. Bind them as a sign upon your hand. Let them be symbols before your eyes. Inscribe them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. Be mindful of all my mitzvot and do them. So shall you consecrate yourselves to your God. I am your eternal God, who led you out of Egypt to be your God. I am your eternal God.
In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness, a world waiting still to be redeemed, give us, O source of good, the courage to stay. There is one God in heaven and earth.
The high heavens declare your glory. May earth reveal your justice and your love.
From Egypt, the house of bondage, we were delivered. At Sinai, amid peals of thunder, we bound ourselves to your purpose. Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, we survived oppression and exile, time and again overcoming the forces that would have destroyed us.
Our failings are many, our faults are great, and yet it has been our glory to bear witness to our God and to keep alive in dark ages the vision of a world redeemed.
May this vision never fade. Let us continue to work for the day when the nations will be one and at peace. Then shall we sing with one accord, as Moses, Miriam, and Israel sang at the shores of the sea.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha nedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot osef ele, nora tehilot osef ele, malechutecha ra'u vanecha, okei לפני משה צליאנו ואמרו אדוני ימלוך אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד.
V'ne'emar, and it has been said, the Eternal One delivered Jacob and redeemed us from the hand of one stronger than ourselves. Baruch atah Adonai, Ga'al Yisrael, we praise you, O God, Redeemer of Israel. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Eternal God, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up to find our hearts waiting to do your will. We praise you, Guardian of Israel, whose love gives light to all the world. O God of Israel, May our worship on this day help us to grow in loyalty to our covenant with you and to the way of life it demands, the way of gentleness and justice, the path of truth and of peace. Vishameru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. Prayer invites God to let the divine presence suffuse our spirits, to let the divine will prevail in our lives. Prayer cannot bring water to parched fields, nor mend a broken bridge, nor rebuild a ruined city. But prayer can water an arid soul, mend a broken heart, and rebuild a weakened will. Please rise for the tefillah, which begins on page 76. Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Eternal God, open my lips that my mouth may declare your glory. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Leah, Elohei Rachel, Ha'el HaGadol HaGibor HaNorah, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Vekoneh HaKol, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר ומשיח ומגן. ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. Source of all being, we turn to you as did our people in ancient days. They beheld you in the heavens, they felt you in their hearts, they sought you in their lives. Now their quest is ours. Help us, O God, to celebrate the wonder of being. Give us the courage to search for truth. Teach us the path to a better life. So shall we, by our lives and our labors, bring near to realization the great hope inherited from ages past, for a world transformed by liberty, justice, and peace. Your might, O God, is everlasting.
Help us to use our strength for good.
You are the source of life and blessing.
Help us to choose life for ourselves and our children.
You are the support of the falling.
Help us to lift up the fallen.
You are the author of freedom.
Help us to free the captive.
You are our hope in death as in life.
Help us to keep faith with those who sleep in the dust.
Your might, O God, is everlasting.
Help us to use our strength for good.
You are Kadosh, holy. Your name is Kadosh, holy. And those who strive to be Kedoshim, holy, declare your glory day by day. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. We praise you, Eternal One, the Holy God.
ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי, שומרי, שומרי שבת, וקוראי עונג שבת. מקדשי, מקדשי שבי שבת, כולם ישמעו ויתענגו מטובך שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי, שומרי, שומרי שבת, וקוראי עונג שבת. והשיבי רצית בו וקידשתו שבת, חמדת ימים אותו קראת השבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי, שומרי, שומרי שבת, וקוראי עונג שבת. זכר למעשה וראשית שבת, זכר למעשה וראשית שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי, שומרי, שומרי שבת, וקוראי עונג שבת.
God of Israel, may our worship on this Sabbath bring us near to all that is high and holy. May it bind the generations in bonds of love and sharing, and unite us with our people in common hope and faith. And through Sabbath rest and worship, may we learn to find fulfillment and joy in the vision of peace for all the world. You are with us in our prayer, in our love and our doubt, in our longing to feel your presence and do your will. You are the still, clear voice within us. Therefore, O God, when doubt troubles us, when anxiety makes us tremble and pain clouds the mind, we look inward for the answer to our prayers. There may we find you, and there find courage, insight, and endurance. And let our worship bring us closer to one another, that all Israel and all who seek you may find new strength for your service. Eternal source of good, we give thanks for the numberless gifts and blessings that fill our days, for life itself and its endless variety, for all that sustains body and mind, for love and friendship, for the delights of the senses, and for the excellence of your Torah, which deepens our life and enriches our days. Teach us, God of wonders, to work for a just and compassionate society, where all may share your gifts in the joy of freedom. Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country, that it may always be a stronghold of peace and its advocate among the nations. May contentment reign within its borders, health and happiness within its homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship among the inhabitants of all lands, and may the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. We praise you, O God, the source of peace.
Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki ata hu melech Adon lechol hashalom. Ki ata hu melech Adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha טסים לעולם. שלום רב ישראל עמך, טסים לעולם. וטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב ישראל עמך, טסים לעולם. שלום רב ישראל עמך, טסים לעולם. טסים לעולם. טסים לעולם.
Pray as if everything depended on God. Act as if everything depended on you. We take a moment to pray silently.
לפניך, לפניך. אדוני צורי, צורי וגואלי. אדוני צורי וגואלי.
Amen. At this point in our service, our prayers and our hearts turn to those who are ill and recuperating. We turn to the inside back cover of our prayer book. Included in our prayers today are Carrie Bollinger, Debbie Davis, David DeFatta, Lolita Dufauchard, Glenn Ellis, Jill Fixler, Tracy Gold and Val Gold, Susan Israel, Sister Mary Joan, Evelyn Kern, Jada Wynn, Justin Rutkowski, Lawrence Shore, Joanne Smith, Phyllis DePongzi, and Stephen Zelanka. If you have other names that you'd like us to add to our prayers, I invite you to call them out. For all these names, for the names we choose to hold in our hearts and not say out loud, we pray together. Oh God, in our hearts we name those who are facing illness and pain. We join our prayers with the prayers of all who love them. Give them renewed comfort and courage. Strengthen in them the healing powers you have placed within us all. Guide the hands and hearts of those who are entrusted with their care. May the knowledge of your love and ours give added hope to them and to their dear ones. May they find even greater strength because our prayers are linked to theirs. Baruch atah Adonai, Rofei HaCholim. We praise you, eternal God, the source of healing and health. We add, Misheberach Avotenu ve'imotenu, may the one who blessed and protected our ancestors guard all those whom we have entrusted with the responsibility of defending our freedom and protecting us in this country, in the land of Israel, and everywhere they have been called to serve. May they return home safely. And let us say, we add to that this blessing. May the one who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, bless the soldiers of the Israeli Defense Forces and the security personnel who stand guard over our country and the cities of our God, from the Lebanese border to the Egyptian wilderness, from the Mediterranean Sea to the edges of the desert, or wherever they might be, on land, in the air, or at sea. May God cause our enemies who attack us to suffer defeat at the hands of our troops. May the Holy One, may he be blessed, shield and protect them from any adversity or anguish, any ordeal or suffering, and send blessing and success to everything they do. May God bring those who hate us under their sway and glorify our forces with the crown of salvation and the mantle of victory, so that the verse, Adonai your God marches with you to do battle for you against our enemies and to save you, will be fulfilled through them. And we say amen. That's the prayer that we were asked to say this weekend. Because of things that are going on. If I asked you what was the most important thing going on in the world today in the news, what would you say? What's happening in Israel? If I ask you to name two things, what's the second most important thing that's going on in the world today? The airplane. So there have been a number of people who died because of these two important things. So in Israel, we lost the first soldier in this operation, in the ground war that started just yesterday. His name was Eitan Barak. He was a 20-year-old sergeant. We found out today that he was killed by what I hate that they call friendly fire, that there was a tank of ours that was aiming for a specific area, and some of the mortar hit him. And the funeral for him will be Sunday at 5 p.m. And we lost earlier this week, we lost a man named Dror Chenin, who was also killed by mortar fire. He was 37. He was survived by his wife, his 10-year-old, his 6-year-old, and his 9-month-old. What he was doing in this effort was he had volunteered to bring some food to the soldiers, and he was bringing food to them and got hit. Most of what we hear about are the times when people don't get hit. You heard the story about the young mom who had 2 children, and they sleep in 2 different bedrooms in their house. One was asleep, the other one was taking a nap, the other one was watching TV, and the air raid signal went off. And she has 15 seconds from when the air raid signal goes off to get into a bomb shelter. And so what do you do when you have one child in this direction and one child in this direction? So she ran to grab the child who was asleep, and she screamed to her 5-year-old son who was watching TV. And the kids from a very young age are taught what to do when they hear the air raid siren. But if you're watching TV, sometimes you're distracted. And so she screamed to her son, run, run. And she grabs the baby, and they ran, and they made it to the air raid shelter because her whole house was destroyed except the secure room that they were in. And we hear stories about how we did not lose lives. But every few minutes, there are more rockets still coming into Israel and missing civilians because the civilians are running and they're trained to run. And you know, on the other side, Israel has been trying to, then they're just randomly shooting at places where they know there are civilians. They're not aiming at soldiers for the most part. The rockets that are coming in are not aiming at soldiers for the most part. They're aiming at civilian areas. And on the other hand, and you know, as of today, you've probably been reading the news at least as much as I have, and I've been away all week, but I've been watching, that the UN and even other Arab nations are not happy right now with the way Hamas is dealing with things. That the ceasefire they agreed to, they did not keep. That it is worldwide knowledge that they are intentionally aiming at civilians, and that Israel is always warning the civilian population before they hit what they believe are specific targets to try to prevent. You know, it's kind of like, it's nothing like anything that we can imagine. Unless we're there, we can't imagine what it's like. But you know, if you've got a bully shooting rubber bands at you and shooting rubber bands at you and shooting rubber bands at you, at some point you're going to swat his hand, at least. And we are trying to get the rubber band supplies away. And we absolutely need to understand that. We need to understand that. I don't know if you've been watching, because it's amazing now what we have with internet to be able to see these things, that you see 10 incoming rockets at a time, and a minimum of 8 of them can get destroyed, and only 2 come through, and those 2 don't hit civilians by luck, not by design. And approximately 80%, I think, that they're saying, of all the incoming rockets are being stopped by Iron Dome. But, or that they can't hit. They've also shown that each of the rockets that are coming in cost little, and every time we have to use the Iron Dome missiles to take them out, it costs an awful lot of money. And I don't know what the politics behind this is. I can guess. I know an awful lot of things. I know that Hamas is not the only Palestinian voice, but unfortunately they're the loudest right now, and the other Palestinian voices. Even Abbas started to say this week that he doesn't approve of what they're doing, and he wishes they weren't there doing this. I have here from Muslim family living in Israel, posted on their Facebook page today, saying there are 3 common mistakes I'm tired of seeing. And you know me to know I don't want to get into political arguments. I want to set these facts straight. People say that Gaza is the most densely populated city in the world, and it's not even in the top 50. Gaza is occupied by Israel, people say, but I hope that you remember 9 years ago, it's not, I mean, for some of us, the little ones here, 9 years ago was a long time ago, but 9 years ago, every Israeli soldier left the Gaza Strip. There are no Israeli soldiers in the Gaza Strip. They have been controlling the Gaza Strip for 9 years now. There's a border. Israel doesn't control the borders either. Israel controls an Israeli border, but a bunch of their border is the southern border with Egypt. Egypt is controlling that border and keeping people from crossing over sometimes because they're trying to control what's going on over there also. They're not happy with what the West Bank government is doing either. There is a report that Gaza is one of the poorest regions in the world. But the Gaza Strip Human Development Index is usually around 100th in the world out of 177. It's higher than Egypt or Syria, as in how poor it is, but it's lower than the Palestinian average. The life expectancy in Gaza is around 107 in the world, higher than Glasgow. The Palestinians are the largest per capita recipients of foreign aid in the world. And Louisiana is finally not in the top of this, the 8th fattest nation in the world. 8th fattest nation in the world. Palestinians are neither rich nor poor, but somewhere in the middle. So the things that people are trying to say about how rotten Israel has been to them, it's just not true. When we pulled out 9 years ago, we gave them materials and trained and things to be able to create their own food and things, and they destroyed everything that we gave them because it was Israeli. It's a frightening world we're living in right now. But it's not the only time that life has been frightening for us. If you come to Torah study tomorrow, you will learn that there was a time like this that we had to deal with even in Moses' time. I'm not going to tell you what happened then, because what's happening now is horrific, and what happened then was horrific. And it's real, and we need to study it, because we don't want to keep repeating ourselves, but we want to learn that we have a right to defend ourselves. And we have been doing it. Finally, for a moment, there's this glimmer now that the world, for one little glimmer, is recognizing that we have been defending ourselves in a way that is within the boundaries of law and what is just and what is real. Because of all things that the Jews pride ourselves of being, it is just. We try to be just and fair. We try to be just and fair. And now, for a moment, the world is trying to see that too. And I appreciate that. There's more, but I can't go on this forever. But that's the prayer today, is that we learn from the past that God is with us. God is trying very hard to, and we are trying very hard to be just and fair in what we do. And our voices, what we say out loud, how we do not stay silent is very, very important at this time. I am going to ask our vice president to please come up and tell us what's going on in our week this week, because our president is not here. And he asked me in his absence to always to select and honor a board member to tell what's going on in the world. It's kind of brief. Hi, Gary. He didn't warn you. I didn't know he wasn't going to be here tonight, but he's not here.
Shabbat Shalom. The unveiling ceremony for Ike Wilson will be this Sunday at 10 o'clock at the Guduth Achim Cemetery. Rabbi Jana will officiate. Camp High will be meeting at B'nai Zion Monday through Friday, starting this coming Monday for 2 weeks. How many campers do we have?
I don't know yet. I don't know. I know we're learning about creation, and then I'm doing circle time. That's all I know so far. I'll tell you on Monday.
Okay. Next Friday evening, Rabbi Jana's sister and family are scheduled to join us during services. We hope that she will sing again. Those of us who were at the Passover Seder last year or services last year know what a treat it is to listen to her sing. She is a professional jazz and beatbox singer. Mm-hmm. Great. In 2 weeks on Friday, August 1st, we will be celebrating and honoring everyone with birthdays or anniversaries in August. Donations were made to B'nai Zion or for pulpit flowers in loving memory of Norman Glenn, by Debbie Glenn, Sandra Eileen Goldberg, by Jock and Mel Gold and family.
Thank you.
Well, you prepared me pretty well since it's all right here in front of me.
I told you, everything that's going on. That's good.
Thank you.
And I want to remind you, since we have some little ones here today, that and since I've already asked you all to be my advocates for the smiley face, the cheerful greeters, be my Pluto and my Mickey, is that if you know where the new bookshelf is, do you know where the bookshelf is? Rest outside just before you get to the stairs. There are now a whole bunch of kids' books there that are things that when you turn the pages, some of them you can touch and feel Jewish things and count and learn Hebrew words. We've got books for kids to have during services so that if they don't feel like participating in the grown-up service, they can sit and they can play with those books. I'm not going to say that the grown-ups can't use them if they can't sit still during services, but they're there. So if you see kids, families with kids come in, they may not know that they're there yet because this is a new thing. I'm sorry, but there are rockets coming into Ashdod right now. Ashdod. So you have 15 seconds to get to your bomb shelter right now. It's the middle of the night right now in Israel. And there's an app that you put on your phone that tells you every time there's incoming rockets. And the rockets are coming in right now to Ashdod. Please let the kids know that there are books there. Please let the families know that they're welcome. Please remember that the children are our future. We now turn to page 148, and I invite everybody who's under the age of 12 to come up to the ark and help me open the ark. Everybody under 12, come on. Everybody under 13. I'm sorry. No wonder she looked at me like that. Everybody who's 12 and under, come on up. Come on. Come on up. Come. Help us. You don't have to, but it's an honor. Come on up and help us. All you have to do is open up the ark. You don't have to do anything fancy. You don't want to? Come on. Are you coming up? We're waiting. All right, we've got 2 brave kids to come up and are willing to be honored. Everyone else, please turn to page 148 and rise for the ark to be open. Ooh, the Torahs, page 148. Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon hakol, la'tet gedula liotzer breshit, shelo asanu kegoye haratzot, v'lo samanu kemishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam, va'anachnu, bend your knees, korim, bow down, u'mishtachavim, u'modim, lift up. Lifnei melech malachei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu. When the arks are closed, you may be seated. Wait, we got to do this one first. Zoop. The mini Torahs. And now the big Torahs. Zoop. Thank you, ladies. You may be seated. We continue on page 150. On page 150, the day will come when all shall turn with trust to you, O God, hearkening to your voice, bearing witness to your truth. Please pray with me. We pray with all our hearts, let violence be gone. Let the day come soon when evil shall give way to goodness, when war shall be forgotten, and all at last shall live in freedom. O source of life, may we, created in your image, embrace one another in friendship and in joy. Then shall we be one family, and then shall your sovereignty be established on earth, and the word of your prophet fulfilled. The eternal God will reign forever and ever. On that day, O God, you shall be one, and your name shall be one. Bayom hahu, yeh Adonai echad, u'shemo echad. Our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. I don't know if you know that among the 100 who were killed, the 177 who were killed on the Malaysian flight, 100 of them were people attending an AIDS conference, and there was an Israeli among them. As we remember all who have died, let us meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. We continue on page 153. In nature's ebb and flow, your eternal law abides. As you are our support in the struggles of life, so also are you our hope in death. In your care, O God, are the souls of all the living and the spirits of all flesh. Your power gives us strength. Your love comforts us. O life of our life, soul of our soul, cause your light to shine into our hearts. Fill us with trust in you and turn us again to the tasks of life. And may the memory of our loved ones inspire us to continue their work for the coming of your sovereign rule. However brief may be our time on earth, O God, you endow our fleeting days with abiding worth. We now recall the loved ones whom death has taken from us as we remember those who have died in this season in years past, and we take them into our hearts with our own. Those for whom we're observing Yortzites this week include Paul Abramson Sr., Robert Baskowitz, Virginia E. Bergman, Regina Bronig, M. Leslie Cruvant, Norman DeLynn, Mildred Gamm, Ramy Gold, Sandra Eileen Goldberg, Albert Goldschall, Ivan Louis Lustberg, Anna Kess Mantenband, Rosa Morris, Charles Murov, Joe M. Murov, Sylvia Muslow, Fane Phelps, Max Rosenblum, Dave Spitzer, Louis Weiss, and Ed Weil. In this moment of memory, our griefs and sympathies are mingled. Loving God, we rise as together we praise your name. The Mourner's Kaddish is found on page 154. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shmei Rabbah, be'alma divra chiruteh v'yamlich malchuteh, b'chayachon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'vizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach la'alam u'lalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shmei d'kudsha barichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shalama rabba min shemaya. V'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mramav. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved. Amen. You may be seated unless you're under 13 and you want to come up and help me bless the challah. You get first dibs on the challah. You want some challah? You could help us bless the challah. Come on. No pressure. Come on. And we're going to bring over to the birthday girl, though. Somebody here has a birthday that no, don't eat it yet. Wait till they say the blessing, but you got to help hold it. You can come up. Come on. It's okay. Okay, that's fine. All right, hold on to this. And we'll say the blessing. Ready? Motzi lechem min haaretz. We give thanks to God for bread. Our voices rise in song together as our joyful prayer is said. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. B'te'avon, grab some bread. Share with your friends if you want. Grab some bread. Take it back to your family. Take it back to that guy back there that didn't want to come. Take one back. No, take this back to him too. Okay. Please rise for the closing benediction. It is a blessing for us to pray together. I believe that our prayers, especially when joined together, can help. It is a scary world we're living in right now for many reasons, and I can't tell you how much it means for you to have come to pray with us together for this. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May God bless you. May God protect you. Yair Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka. May the light of God's face shine upon you, be gracious to you. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May God's face always be lifted up to you. May God grant us all peace. Shabbat shalom. I'm glad you said that, sir. I was